Genesis 39. Now Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an Egyptian official of Pharaoh, the captain of the bodyguard, brought him from the Ishmaelites, who had brought him down there. And Yahweh was with Joseph, so he became a successful man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. Now his master saw that Yahweh was with him, and how Yahweh caused all that he did to succeed in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his sight and attended on him, and he appointed him overseer over his house, and all that he owned he gave in his hand. Now it happened that from the time he appointed him overseer in his house and over all that he had, Yahweh blessed the Egyptian's house on account of Joseph. Thus the blessing of Yahweh was upon all that he owned in the house and in the field. So he left everything he owned in Joseph's hand, and with him there he did not concern himself with anything except the food which he ate. Now Joseph was beautiful in form and beautiful in appearance, and it happened after these events that his master's wife set her eyes on Joseph and said, "Lie with me." But he refused, and said to his master's wife, "Behold, with me here my master does not concern himself with anything in the house, and he has given all that he owns into my hand. There is no one greater in this house than I, and he has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do this great evil and sin against God?" So it happened that as she spoke to Joseph day after day, he did not listen to her, to lie beside her or be with her. Now it happened one day that he went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the household was there inside. Then she seized him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." And he left his garment in her hand and fled and went outside. Now it happened, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and had fled outside, that she called to the men of her household and spoke to them, saying, "See, he has brought in a Hebrew to us to laugh at us. He came in to lie with me, and I screamed. Now it happened that when he heard that I raised my voice and screamed, he left his garment beside me and fled and went outside." And she placed his garment beside her until his master came home. Then she spoke to him with these words, saying, "The Hebrew slave whom you brought to us came in to me to laugh at me. And as I raised my voice and screamed, he left his garment beside me and fled outside." Now it happened that when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spoke to him, saying, "This is what your slave did to me," his anger burned. So Joseph's master took him and put him into jail, the place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in the jail. But Yahweh was with Joseph and extended loving kindness to him and gave him favor in the sight of the chief jailer. So the chief jailer gave into the hand of Joseph all the prisoners who were in the jail, so that whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. The chief jailer did not supervise anything under Joseph's hand because Yahweh was with him, and whatever he did, Yahweh made to succeed. Here are some snapshots of Joseph's life in chapter 39. Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and the captain of the bodyguard bought him from the Ishmaelites, who had brought him down there. Verse 12, his master's wife seized him by his garment. Verse 20, Joseph's master took him and put him into the jail. Throughout the chapter, Joseph was pulled and yanked around. He didn't get to choose where to go. After being sold by his brothers, everyone seems to be deciding his fate for him. Would you count that as successful? You get pushed and pulled around. Not only you couldn't trust your brothers who betrayed you, you couldn't trust your employer, your master, and he put you in jail. And as far as you know, you have done nothing wrong up to this point. Would you use the word success to describe that situation? The Bible does. Verse 2, Yahweh was with Joseph, so he became a successful man. Even his master understood that. Verse 3, his master saw that Yahweh was with him and how Yahweh caused all that he did to succeed in his hand. And that success carries through to the end of the chapter, verse 23. Yahweh was with Joseph, and whatever Joseph did, Yahweh made to succeed. But how is this success? There was so much betrayal, whether it's his brothers or his master or his master's wife. And then there was imprisonment, whether in the pit or in a royal prison. What kind of success can we see with Joseph? Can we say it's because he won the trust of people around him? Because he did. In verse 4, Joseph found favor in his master's sight. Well, if that was what defined Joseph's success, then he eventually lost it, because verse 20, Joseph's master took him and put him into jail. The trust was easily broken. The master, in verse 19, simply heard the words of his wife, which she spoke to him, and the master already acted on his assumptions and on his emotions. His anger burned, without Joseph even having a chance to speak. So if his success was tied to the trust he gained from people, then that's a fragile, fleeting success. What was his success? God was his success. Verse 2, Yahweh was with Joseph. Verse 3, Yahweh was with him. Yahweh caused all he did to succeed. Verse 21, Yahweh was with Joseph and extended loving kindness to him and gave him favor in the sight of the chief jailer. If we were to be precise, his success was not in what he did in verse 3, but the fact that Yahweh caused all that he did to succeed. Verse 23 is even clearer. It's not so much the fact that the chief jailer did not supervise anything under Joseph's hand, but it was because Yahweh was with him. Yahweh made what was done successful. He was successful because God was with him. God was favorable to him. It was not about what was done or the technicalities or the events, because those events come and go. It might look good in the beginning, and then in an instant, it's gone. The only constant is God's faithfulness. So that the success is not that everything happens well, but that despite what happens, whether it's well or not, God is still with you. God's faithfulness is understood, which enables Joseph's faithfulness in all circumstances. God's people are fueled by God's favor, God's grace, God's presence. We define our success not on our circumstances, but the God of those circumstances being with us and being for us. These are my thoughts. Hope to hear from you as well.